Optical illusions are pretty incredible and can keep us both entertained and confused for hours. Whether they're paintings, natural optical illusions, or stunts, they're a really cool thing to examine and look at closely. And that's exactly what we're going to talk about in this video. We'll be looking at optical illusions up close and seeing what makes them so confusing. Maybe this will give you peace of mind, or maybe it'll make you even more confused. We'll just have to see. Before we get into the video, if you like content like this and want to see more, please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to my channel. And turn on post notifications if you want to be the first to hear about my next video. Great, let's get into it. Here are 15 stunning optical illusions explained. Number 1. All is Vanity painting. We're starting off with a pretty eerie one here. This was drawn by Charles Allen Gilbert in 1892 and features a young woman sitting in her vanity, in front of a mirror, admiring herself in front of many bottles of perfume. Gilbert was an American artist who also had a hand in the early days of animation and helped in designing camouflage tanks in the First World War. The drawing gained popularity for its double vision scheme. What you think is one photo is also another, giving it a completely different meaning. Once you look closer at the woman in the painting and her image in the mirror, as well as the row of perfume bottles in front of her, the image starts to form a skull, suggesting that staring at herself in the mirror is vain and will only lead to evil. A pretty creepy underlying meaning. Number 2. Hermann Grid. This grid is made up of black squares placed all over a plain white background and was named after its creator, Ludimar Hermann. When observed by the naked eye, any section of the white grid not focused on will somehow appear to have a gray dot in the middle of the white space. Once noticed, the eye will usually shift to where the spot is, in an attempt to look at it straight, but the gray spot will be gone. But why does this happen? Wikipedia states that it is because of a neural process called natural inhibition, where the intensity at a point in the visual system is not simply a result of a singular receptor, but a group of receptors which respond to the presentation of stimuli in a receptive field, therefore creating the gray dot that we see in the grid. Number 3. Parrot or woman. When looking at this picture first, you'd be able to see an ordinary parrot, as most of us would. However, would you be shocked if this was actually a woman? This picture is not a parrot at all, but is actually a woman wearing incredibly detailed makeup that makes her look like a parrot. If you look super closely, you can see that her body is angled so she is sitting with one arm over her head, making it look like the head of a parrot, and her eyes are closed to show off all the makeup on her face, making it look like the face of a parrot. It was due to both makeup and photography that this image was able to be captured perfectly, and even though it's really confusing, it's actually pretty stunning, and we can tell that a lot of effort has been put into this. The background is green and blurred, which also adds to distorting perception of size, making this even more confusing to figure out. With a normal background, our brain would have been able to detect size and see that it was a model. Pretty crazy. Number 4. Ebbinghaus circle. This picture appears to be just a group of circles upon first glance, but if you look closer, you'll find out that the two circles in the mirror are actually exactly the same size. They look like they're different sizes because of the circles placed around them and how they're placed. This image actually started as two circles of the same size placed next to each other. The circles are then surrounded by different types of circles, the ones on the left being larger and the ones on the right being smaller. The circles around the other circles distort our perception of size and makes us confused, thinking that the one on the left is smaller when in reality they're both exactly the same size. Pretty crazy, but super fascinating. Number 5. 3D graffiti. This one would definitely mess with your mind, especially after a few drinks. The image you can see looks like a pitfall of danger with only a few places to walk, surrounded by an icy lake right in front of two buildings. But in reality, it's just a really well planned out graffiti painting. Thanks to the technique of single point perspective painting, this makes the illusion successful. This painting was done in Geldern, Germany in the 2008 annual Street Painting Festival and was designed by painter Edgar Mueller, who is known for making incredible works of art such as this one. During an interview, Mueller said he wanted to give this image an apocalyptic feel, and we definitely agree he caught that feeling. By painting so realistically, it literally looks like you'll plummet down into icy water when in reality, you'll just be walking across the street looking a little silly for being so scared. Number 6. Jesus optical illusion. This one looks like it'll be challenging to identify, like the parrot illusion, but trust me, once you get it, it's so hard to unsee. The trick to this is to stare at the vertical dots in the middle of the image for about 30 seconds and try not to blink too much. Then, stare at a blank wall or sheet of paper, focus, and blink. And there you go. What you'll see is an inverse black and white image in front of your eyes that, in fact, looks like Jesus. Another phenomenon of this is when you're asked to stare at black and white picture on screen, then look at a blank space and then suddenly appears in full color. The reason for this illusion is the juxtaposition of light and the way your eyes perceive light. Our retina flips images when we see images, and they also flip shadows. So that's how this optical illusion works. Number 7, Fraser spiral. This is a pretty common optical illusion, so you've probably seen it in museums or on Facebook. But it's still pretty incredible. The spiral shape and diamond pattern work together to form this optical illusion. When you look at it, your eyes become so confused at what they're looking at and have to think about it all over again. Because of the spiral on top of the checkerboard, the image is super complicated and almost appears to be moving in your eyes, making this a pretty cool but super confusing optical illusion. This illusion was created by British psychiatrist James Fraser in 1908, hence the name Fraser spiral. The use of the tile designs creates a sense of deep perception that appears to twist on itself in an infinite way, and adding more spiral effects creates a super trippy effect. Don't stare at this too long, your eyes may start to hurt. Number 8, Canizza triangle. The illusion was named after its creator, Italian psychologist Gaetano Canizza. The illusion falls into the category of illusory contours, which utilizes sharp complementary colors such as black and white, and the illusory contour places the shapes in a specific pattern and angle. The organization of the shapes makes our brain fill in the objects of the spaces with imaginary lines that create an imaginary illusion of the outline of a shape. As you can see, it looks like there's a white triangle in the middle, when in reality, there is no outline of it. Our brain just filled that in and made it up. The triangle is used to measure amounts of perception. For example, a more perceptive person would be able to fill out the outlines of the smaller shapes, while a less perceptive person would just be able to fill out the triangle. Pretty cool and very educational. Number 9, Penrose stairs. These stairs just seem to go on forever. Where do they start and where do they end? And why are they like this? This incredibly confusing staircase was created by Lionel Penrose and his son. They took their original concept of the Penrose triangle, which is two-dimensional and has equally impossible proportions, and they converted it into a three-dimensional staircase. The staircase was first introduced in the 1950s and was popularized by artist M.C. Escher. Because of the way it's drawn, it constantly looks like it just keeps going down and it has no start or end. But this is just the result of really smart drawing. The staircase has been parodied by numerous TV shows such as Family Guy and SpongeBob SquarePants. Number 10, the floating finger. You can do this one at home. All you need to do is make 2 finger guns next to each other and then aim them towards each other in front of you. Bring them within 1 inch of each other, making sure they're both in line, and then look past your hands and focus on a wall in the distance. If the wall is blank, the illusion will work better. Likely, you'll end up seeing a small chunk of your finger floating in between the 2 finger guns. The science behind this has to do with perception. As your eyes change focus while there's an image in the foreground, they change their perception to match the distance of the image they're looking at, which results in it looking like one of your fingers is floating. Number 11, two-face illusion. This one freaks me out, I don't know why. This is essentially half a face that when you look at it, it can appear to be either looking at you or looking sideways, and it's very unsettling. The eye is just really big and something feels really off, but you're never sure what. Based on where the eye first focuses on the image, it will appear different. If you look from the side of the image, it appears there is only half a face looking right at the camera. If you look from the right, it appears that the man is looking to the side. So weird and so unsettling, but also kind of fun when you know how it works. Number 12, the pinwheel. You've probably all seen this one before, as it's pretty common optical illusion. The reason this is so popular is because it's usually featured on TV when people are being put into hypnosis, and the pinwheel is pretty hypnotic. But why? Well, this is because the 2 reverse pinwheels in black and white are complicated for our eyes and confuse us, and when spun around, create an even more confusing illusion, and that can put anyone into a dizzy spell. But somehow, you can't stop looking at it. So strange, but so spectacular. Number 13, duck-rabbit illusion. What did you see? A duck or a rabbit? This is another popular illusion that is especially seen throughout social media, but it's pretty confusing. This drawing is meant to be either a duck or a rabbit, depending on their perception of the viewer. If you look at the left of the image, you'll usually see the duck first, as it looks like the bill. However, if you look at the right first and are more drawn to the eye, then you'll most likely see the rabbit first. This all completely depends, but it's another cool example of perception, and depending on where in the image you look first, you'll see something totally different. Number 14, the perception illusion. Like one of the illusions before, this one is all about size perception. There are 3 soldiers, and you probably think that they're all different sizes, right? Wrong. Like the circle illusion we discussed previously, these 3 soldiers are all exactly the same size, and the reason we get so confused is because of the lines behind the image. Because they're slanted, it almost looks like a slope. So our eyes think all the soldiers are a different size, when in reality, they're all the same size. If the lines were not diagonal, we would have totally different perception of this image and probably not see the 3 men as totally different sizes. Pretty cool, huh? And finally, number 15, the elephant illusion. This image is super strange. If you don't really pay attention, it just looks like a normal elephant until you look up close and see there are so many legs. And how? An elephant doesn't even have that many legs. It also seems that the legs coming from the elephant don't have their own feet to stand on, which is super confusing, and here's why it's so confusing. According to WeirdTopics.com, it's because the legs that were supposed to be drawn were erased and moved to the side, which makes our eyes go dizzy when we're trying to figure out which legs are real and how many there actually are. So complicated, but actually so simple when we think about it. And that concludes our list of 15 stunning optical illusions explained. Which one did you like the most? I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to this channel, and make sure to turn on post notifications if you want to be the first to hear about my next video. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.